Happy Wednesday to you all. Thanks for joining us. We are here to discuss all things Game of Thrones, Season 8.
And all things A Song of Ice and Fire. Right you are, Kayla?
Yes.
Glad to see you all here. Hey, Kathleen. Hey, Julie. Hey, Brittany. Hey, everybody. If you have comments, let us know. We'll discuss it. And let's just jump right into the news, Kayla,
Let's
from Game of Thrones Season 8. Kathleen says, hello from beautiful Orlando.
I want to be there. It's
and
warm.
Brittany from Jersey, which is less warm, but still lovely. And yeah, let's just jump right in. So we have some exciting news from the set of Game of Thrones Season 8, where things, are always happening at a fast and nice clip. The big news this week, Kayla, and everybody out there, is that the crew recently wrapped filming on a 55-night, 11-week shoot on an enormous battle sequence that's kind of set around Winterfell.
That is a long time.
I want to put it into context how long it is, because that is a tremendously long time for a TV show, really anything to film a battle scene, but especially for a TV show. Mm-hmm. I think the biggest battle scene they'd filmed before this was probably the Battle of the Bastards, which was filmed in St. Field, Northern Ireland, for Season 6. They spent around 26 days there doing their thing, filming.
Okay.
So this is 55 nights. It was all night shoots. That's, close to, or I think that is over double the amount of time they spent.
What it took to film Battle of the Bastards.
Yes, they spent filming this scene.
Wow.
Which is remarkable.
And it's going to be something that we've never seen before? Is that what they keep teasing it as?
Well, I mean, I think when they say that, they mean like the pure scale of it.
Okay.
The enormity of it.
I can't even grasp that, Dan.
What we know is that they filmed it in multiple places. So they've been filming it at Mahuramorn Quarry.
Very good.
Thank you. By the way, I got like a phonetic pronunciation from Irish Throne, so thank you very much from that.
Thank you.
You told me how to say it.
That are helping us.
Mahuramorn. I'm pretty sure I have it now. I'm pretty sure I've got it. Mahuramorn.
Oh, wow. That's way different than what I was saying.
The G is silent.
Magharamorn.
The G is not said. I know that. Anyway, that is happening. And also, that's where they have the giant green screen set up. Mm-hmm. And they've also been filming at Moneyglass, which is where the Winterfell set is. And the idea is they're going to stitch these two things together to make one giant, enormous sequence. 55 nights all told.
11 weeks.
Pretty staggering. And the way we know this is because an assistant director who's been on the show since the first season, named Jonathan Quinlan, took to his Instagram and shared a thank you note he got from the producer types, as he called them.
Oh.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to send it out. It was actually quite a nice note. It mentioned how long they've been filming. And it said, when tens of millions of people around the world watch this episode a year from now, they won't know how hard you worked. They won't care how tired you were or how tough it was to do your job in sub-freezing temperatures. They'll just understand that they're watching something that's never been done before.
Dun dun.
Which is exciting. And also a little troubling because you don't do that when you're on HBO, when you work for them. And it was taken down very, very quickly, and he might be fired now.
Why is that bad, though?
Because it's giving away information.
But not any, big details.
It's true.
We know they're filming. We know they're filming a battle scene and that it's going to be big.
We do. I mean, maybe they are being too bellicose, but as we said before, they're being very careful this year not to give away anything. So I think just keep a lid on it wherever you possibly can.
Got it.
I'm sure he was fine. I'm sure they just slapped him on the wrist and said, take it down. But it was taken down shortly afterward, and I think we all know why. But it's exciting.
HBO runs a tight ship.
They should. I mean, this is a leaky set, Kayla. We've been here week after week looking at photos that are off of it.
This is true.
I don't blame them for trying to keep everything they can under wraps.
Okay.
I really don't. Considering what
Even
gets
though
out.
We're here to tell you all the latest spoilers.
That we can. Yes. Julie, poor guy. I'm sure he'll be okay, but yeah. And thank you very much, Mr. Quinlan, for sharing that with us. Anyway, I want to just, again, put this in context a bit. 55 nights for one sequence, that's huge. That's definitely a TV record. I think the last TV record was the Battle of the Bastards. TV just doesn't go that big. You don't spend that much time and energy and money on a battle sequence for a television show.
Do you think we'll ever see anything of this size and scale again?
I think that's a really good question. And I think we're not going to be able to really be sure until we see what the future of television holds. I mean, I've always thought, I think I've heard it argued that I guess there's two paths, right? After Game of Thrones is over, TV executives could compete to get the biggest, newest, just to go bigger and bigger. We've seen Amazon trying to do that with something like their Lord of the Rings show, which they, are spending $500 million on to get 2 seasons. So I could see that. Or it could be, this is kind of a lightning in a bottle situation we have here. And it's going to be just more trouble than it's worth to go bigger than that. And, to spend that kind of money in a way that isn't going to ruin your studio.
Right.
Like, it's a big risk. So maybe it'll go away. I don't know yet. I really don't. What I think will happen is that there will be some studios who try to top Game of Thrones. It'll never quite do it because I think the audience isn't going to be natural. And then it'll go away after a while. But we're in for some big towering adventures, I think, in the next decade of television after Game of Thrones is over.
Yeah, I think it needs to be like the perfect storm of things, like the right studio, the right show,
the right material, the right
audience,
cast, the right
budget,
everything. Yeah.
So maybe not in the near future, but I feel like the way the world works, we just keep getting bigger and bigger and better.
Sure.
So who knows what's down the road?
I mean, it's just exciting to think about this, just going back to what the battle's going to be like. On the Take the Black podcast with House Razor, which David Harris of Winter's Coming does a podcast every 2 weeks. They were comparing it to something maybe you've seen, the Battle of Helm's Deep in the Lord of the Rings movies. Maybe.
Oh, right.
Somebody tells me you're not really a Lord of the Rings fan.
Wasn't locked into Lord of the Rings. I was
Definitely.
not.
I mean, it's a good touchstone just because there aren't many, big-scale medieval-esque fantasy-ish battles you can compare it to.
Sure.
And that was a huge, it was a 40-minute battle sequence, huge movie at the time. You've heard of it, surely.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah. That one took 120 nights to film.
Wow.
So you can go bigger.
Yeah.
But it's just, I'm wondering what 55 nights gets us. Is that like a whole solid hour of battle, half hour? Is it just because special effects are so elaborate they have to spend that much time getting them right? Not sure, but I'm excited to find out.
Have to be the editors for this. How do you pick? Because that's a lot of footage that they're going to be going through.
For Helm's Deep, there's 20 hours of footage. They whittled down to their 40-minute battle sequence.
I wonder how long that takes.
Oh, an ungodly amount of time. I mean, I think being an editor is pretty interesting. Like, you get to kind of shape it.
No kidding.
Back in the pod, but
the power.
Let me ask you. We had Isis Melton, one of our podcast people, said that she wouldn't she's not into a straight hour of intense battle. That it gets exhausting.
It is.
How do you feel about that kind of thing?
I actually kind of like battle scenes.
Yeah.
But after a while of the same thing over and over again, as long as it, has ups and downs and moves and isn't just the same thing over and over for 40 minutes.
I think it would. I mean, Game of Thrones, it has had a lot of great battle scenes, and they've never been just hit the same thing over and over.
I loved Battle of the Bastards. I thought it was great. Really well done.
And it didn't overstay its welcome. And as long as you know how the tide is turning one way or what the people are feeling as they're going through it, it's fine. It's gripping rather than exhausting.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see what happens when it comes on.
How do you feel about it?
I'm excited. Of course, I want to see what they can do with 55 nights of filming and a huge green screen and a Winterfell set that's just been, carefully, lovingly built, and they did some things to it we won't talk about here because it's spoilers. I'm looking forward to it hugely. I mean, I you know what I love about this show? I love that.
Tell us, Dan. What do you love about Game of Thrones?
I love that the producers have ambition,
Yeah.
I love that they go for it. I love that they shoot for something, they aim really, really high.
Even if they have to make their millions of fans wait for 2 years.
Yeah.
They'll do it.
I love that they're willing to do something people haven't seen on TV before. I mean, that takes guts.
It does. I agree.
Even if it doesn't, I mean, I'm sure it'll come out wonderfully. But I just enjoy that they're willing to go there, and I think it'll pay off. And I'm looking forward to that. If any of you guys have comments on that, what you're looking forward to out of a 55-night battle shoot, please feel free to tell us. Clint says hi from Sweden. Hey, Clint. Daniel, hello from the UK. This is fun. Hello from Chicago, everybody. And Emma says that Game of Thrones will never be beaten. That is all. We'll have to wait and see.
Kind of with you, Emma.
50 years.
Yeah. TV show-wise, it's going to be hard to top.
Full House 2.
Fuller House.
Fullest House, the third season when it comes back.
Fullest House. The second reboot.
Anyway, that's the biggest bit of news, but we have some other stuff from the set. Beyond Mahuramorn Quarry, I hope I'm saying that right.
Mahuramorn.
I'm sure I'll be told. I hope I will be told.
That's different than the bus conductor lady.
Because she was British. She was like a British person announcing a train schedule.
Okay.
I believe this is like from a Northern Irish person.
So
but again, I don't know.
Okay.
If I have anybody from Northern Ireland listening, feel free to tell me. Moving on to the set, the King's Landing set at Titanic Studios, which is still, after all these months, still being, they haven't actually filmed it yet. It's still being built. Also, ambition. Gotta love it.
Yep.
There's been a new prop sighted on set. They're going to film any day now, I'm sure of it. Kind of a giant crossbow of remember the giant ballista that Bronn used to shoot the dragon last year? It got destroyed, but it looks like it's back.
Yeah.
And Cersei's kind of manufacturing a bunch. Going to put them on the walls of King's Landing. Makes sense. Mm-hmm. You want some anti-dragon anti-aircraft, anti-dragon
Especially
guns.
Especially got a dead dragon on your hands.
Of course. Any live dragon, dead dragon, whatever. Just mount those things on the walls and let them go to town. Any comments on that? I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. I don't wonder what they're going to do with those.
Me neither. But good to know. And finally, we got some quick little bit of news here. First of all, another set they're going to start up pretty soon. The Ruins of Italica in Spain, where we had the Dragon Pit meeting.
Yep.
They're going to be there for a month filming, which is a long time.
So we know they're filming through, what is it, June? That's when
That's when the whole thing ends, yeah.
Okay.
Like
for
late
a little
June.
Timeline.
Yes, it's true. June is the last bit of it. They're going to be...
We're nearing the end.
We really are. It goes by so fast.
2.5 more months.
So they got to get on that King's Landing thing quickly. In Italica, though, they're going to be there for a month, which is interesting because that was where the big giant meeting of characters happened last year. Mm-hmm. And they filmed there for like between a week and 2 weeks. And that was a long scene. It was just talking.
And they're going to be there, wow.
For a month. Usually that means action sequence. It usually means something complicated. But we're not sure because there are no extras. And that's like a historical heritage site. Like, you're not allowed to film action there. Or if you would, it would be very dicey.
What are your guesses?
I don't really have many. I had one person suggest it might be like the final scene of the show. Like maybe some kind of really carefully choreographed.
We should do that one day, what we think
sequence.
The final scene will be.
We should absolutely do that one day. That's a great idea.
Maybe closer to the end of filming or something.
Yes, I'd like that. And then we can drink.
Yes.
Do you have any ideas? Because I'm kind of, I don't really have them. If you
made a good point about the no extras thing, so I'm not really sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. Ooh, but then Kenny Adamo just said, I still don't understand what is so special about 4K. What a great transition.
How did you know?
I think someone else, Daniel Smith, is it true season 1 is being released in 4K? Yes, it is, Daniel Smith.
Actually.
Quick talking point, yeah. HBO is releasing season 1 of Game of Thrones in 4K. We were just talking about this.
Off camera, we were talking about how we don't really...
I'm not a 4K... I'm not the kind of person who cares about 4K.
Is it just like a very high definition?
Yes. Okay. It's super ultra HD. I'm not even making that term up.
I'm good with just HD. Like, what I see on HBO is... I'm good with.
I'm old enough to remember when it was standard definition, and I was fine with that, to be honest. So HD is okay with me. But if you do care about ultra super HD 4K resolution, you're going to get the first season of Game of Thrones released in that. That's great.
I mean, if you're someone with a full setup of like a huge TV and surround sound, then I'm sure it's probably something that would be really cool. But I don't know that it would be cool in my TV.
Well, also, it's the first season was not shot in 4K resolution. It was shot in normal HD.
Oh, okay.
So it has to be like upscale.
Gotcha.
But you see, I'm hearing myself, and I sound like one of those people who talks about tech all the time, and I don't like it. So I'm just gonna pull back.
Okay.
But if you love it, if you love super ultra HD, season 1 is coming out in that. That's great. Go watch it and see every pore in Cersei's face or whatever that affords you to do. One last thing. Con of Thrones is coming up, the world's premier Game of Thrones fan convention in Dallas, Texas on May 25th. It kicks off.
Can I tell him?
Go ahead.
I think this is so exciting. I just found out today. Dan is going to be on 3 different panels. Woo. Our very own Dan Selke at Con of Thrones.
That'd be fun.
That's awesome.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I will be a panelist.
I'm so proud of you.
Well, thank you. It's a life high. I will be on a couple of panels there. Just discuss. I'll be on a panel called "How Game of Thrones Changed the World of Television," a subject I'd like to talk about. So that'll be fun. And the spin-off panel, where we just speculate wildly about what kind of spin-offs we could be in store for. And then I'm on one other panel they haven't announced yet, so I'm not sure I should say it either.
Do you know what it is?
Oh, I know what it is.
Oh, okay. Is it cool?
I think it's cool.
I mean, everything at this convention is cool.
Are you saying that facetiously?
No, I'm serious.
Okay. Yes, it is. I'm looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun. If you're going, let me know. We can meet up. Why not? And I'll be on those 3 panels. Looking forward to talking about Game of Thrones, other fans, and interacting and seeing everybody there.
Oh, Dan, you make us so proud.
Thank you, Kayla.
You're welcome.
And any other thoughts or comments or queries before we sign off with you today?
It's been fun with you today.
Taz.
And I will see you guys next week.
All right. I'd like to now bring on Mr. Josh Hill for our ongoing series, A Song of Dan and Josh, where we walk through the chapters of A Song of Ice and Fire one at a time, mining them for insights. I've read all the books multiple times. Josh here has never read the books, but he watches the show, and he has things to bring to the discussion. Hello, Josh. How are you?
Hello, Dan. And hello, everybody out there.
Hello, everybody out there.
Hello, Julie, and who else is here?
Oh, we got Kenny. We
Kenny,
got
Kenny.
Emma. We have Rick.
Emma,
There you
Kenny.
go.
Is anybody reading the
We
books
have
with us?
Daniel, Jennifer. Lots of folk. And I'd like to take this. Ask again.
There you go.
What? No, ask again.
Oh, I was going to say, is anybody reading the books with us? Kenny, Emma. Hello?
Are you? Let us know. I also like to take this opportunity to slow down a bit and inform you that we are available on iTunes in podcast form and Google Play. If you can, subscribe, leave a kind word, rate it 5 stars. It helps spread the word. We'd appreciate it.
Getting you on more panels at more cons. There you
That'd
go.
be fun. I have...
5-star podcast host, Dan Selke.
As you guys know, I'm pretty much brilliant. So I deserve to be in all the panels I possibly can be. That'll be fun, though.
Yeah.
Have you ever been a panelist? I never have.
I haven't been. No, I just went to Walker Stalker Con, which was...
Oh, was that like a Walking Dead con?
Yeah, it was like the Walking Dead
That's
equivalent
cool.
of Game of Cons or whatever this is.
Were you on a panel or not?
I wasn't, no, but it was a cool experience to see it.
It is neat.
But
I mean, I'm not much of a public speaker, but I feel like I've been doing this show for a while, so I feel
just
like
pretend it's a podcast.
How different can it be?
yeah.
Anyway, Josh, we are here to talk about the latest chapters in A Song of Ice and Fire, and we read 2 today. We read Tyrion V, and we also read Ned. I don't know, 1300, whatever he's on now, 11.
It was actually Ned 10.
I thought it was Ned.
You wrote down 11, but it's actually you wrote down the chapter heading wrong, but it was actually the right chapter.
Josh Hill keeping track of the numbers here.
Because it was Ned X. I was like,
Ned
that's a
X.
cool chapter title.
It's like,
And it was a cool chapter, but we'll get to that one.
it was good, yeah. Let's hit Tyrion V first. So what jumped out at you here? Tyrion is still in prison at the Eyrie.
Yep.
And he's hatching some schemes.
He's hatching some schemes. He's swaggering. This is the trial by combat he kind of proposes.
I
Or
think it's
demands.
the first time we hear trial by combat in the series.
Yeah, and Bronn is the one that kind of steps up to take charge there, which is kind of that cool little duo that they got going, Bronn and Tyrion.
Why does Bronn do that?
I mean, outside of just being a cool character.
Outside of being a cool character. That's part of the reason too, of course. But
I mean, well, what I found interesting about it was here we have Tyrion, who is in captivity, and he is, could be another character. It could be kind of nervous, could be kind of upset that they're in captivity, and he is basically playing the game from the inside, and he's playing everybody else around him. Like he bribes, I forget what the jailer's
Mord is
Mord.
the big, dumb, illiterate jailer.
Yeah, so he's playing him, and he's able to get himself into a trial by combat with somebody who's going to win because he's awesome. And
I mean, they don't know.
he doesn't know, but the chances are pretty good. And at that point, it had established to me that Tyrion is very good at playing the odds. Like he is in control of this game, so he's not going to screw it up. Which actually reminded me of the Oberyn trial by combat, and kind of gave that a little bit more of a twist to it. More, I mean, you got it on the show too, but here Tyrion has everything figured out right up to the trial by combat, which I'm assuming he's going to win because.
I mean, you've seen the show.
I've seen the show, and
this is on the show.
Bronn continues to be on the show and in the books, but And then that's kind of reflected again in the Oberyn thing, which it's like he's got this settled. We've seen him do this before, and then nope. So, that's future juxtaposition.
Try the same tactic, yeah.
But it is kind of like fitting with this theme of like putting, two things against each other, and then one thing isn't like the other. So
little twist on it.
Yeah, I like that.
I mean, I disagree with you though that he had it all figured out. I think he's rolling the dice here. He has to.
Well,
he's in prison. He doesn't have an army or anything. Lysa, Aaron, and the crazy son have the people with swords. So what is his plan? So he asks this idiot jailer to send a message to Lysa. I'm going to confess my crimes.
Little petty crimes too, like whoring and all this kind of stuff.
So obviously she's going to think, confess to killing Jon Arryn and killing Bran. So many people he's been accused of killing, which he brings up.
Attempted killing Bran.
He didn't do any of it. But. And when he gets to the kind of area where the trial happens, he notes that Lysa has summoned all of her knights to watch. Why is that? And he calls it a mistake on her part. Why is that a bad move on Lysa's part?
Well, it's kind of like, dancing before you get into the end zone. Like she's very much, Tyrion is rolling the dice here, but he knows that he's going to get up there and he's not going to confess to any of these things.
He does. He just wants to get out in front of Lysa.
Yeah, and Lysa is under the impression that she's got him. This is it. This is Tyrion's cooked.
He's going to confess.
Yeah, and she's basically like trotting out, the band to celebrate. Sure. And that's, of course we know what happens. Bad move.
We do. But what I'm getting at is that, and they bring this up a little later, well, if Lysa had just taken Tyrion by herself, and he'd said, I'm going to confess the stupid thing, she'd be like, oh, fine, go back to the cell. The fact that there are people there means he can shame her publicly. He can say, oh, you're not going to give me a trial. Is this how justice is done? This is bullcrap. I demand a trial. And now because people are watching, she has to respond. That's the mistake. That's her mistake. She thinks she has him pegged. He lies, she doesn't. And then in her hubris, she brings all these people to watch. And that's what Tyrion can take advantage of. So he's rolling the dice that she's going to be stupid. She's going to make a bad move. And, it's Lysa Arryn, so it's not like it's a terrible bet. But even then, he's still... And, and then they have this exchange where they kind of go back and forth on moves. It's like Tyrion says, I need a trial. This is bull. This is, crap. I deserve one. Lysa's like, fine, you can have a trial, but my crazy son is the judge. So that's her comeback. He's a crazy son. He's not going to rule in his favor. And Tyrion's like, okay, I'll pivot again. Okay, fine, I want a trial by combat. Something I might be able to win. Because he's thinking, okay, I'll just summon Jaime. Jaime can beat anybody here. And then Lysa makes her move. Okay, fine, you can try by combat, but it has to be today. Your brother ain't going to make it here today. So then Tyrion, that's when he goes for the, anybody here want to volunteer? And it works out. But what I like is that it's not like, okay, I know what's going to happen. It's he makes one gamble that leads to another. It leads to another.
Dominoes just fall.
And that's why I called it the Game of Thrones in action. Because it's like, it's them at a tennis court, like volleying the ball back across the net at each other. And Tyrion, when Bronn volunteers, like gets it and she misses. Which is fun. And I'm going to stick him in the head, but there's a Catelyn chapter later when she's just like, why didn't Lysa just summon him and just talk to him alone? That would have been the smart thing to do. Yes. But that's why Tyrion's a smart character.
He is. And, it was kind of, again, it reminded me of the scene in the show where he kind of like, I forget a couple of seasons ago, it was the Oberyn trial where he's basically, the Peter Dinklage's Emmy scene.
Yes, his big scenery chewing.
His big scenery chewing.
Turn.
Is that scene in the book? Because it reminded me of that.
It is in the book, but when we get to it, that's they blew it up for the show a lot. It doesn't have that big, like, it's not like dramatic. It's not like a moment in the book. They milked it for TV, which was fine. It turned out to be a good scene.
I did like how, too, Tyrion was like, when he was contemplating everything that was going on, he was basically like, my siblings are way too smart to have botched the assassination of Bran.
Did he say that?
Well, I don't think he said it, but it was. I kind of got that implication of like he's kind of getting on to Tyrion, or not to Tyrion. Tyrion is getting on to Littlefinger.
He's getting on to somebody.
Yeah. So kind of figuring out the game a little bit from the inside, and that's why I was kind of fascinated by the whole thing of him being able to, like you say, play the Game of Thrones in action, and then also he's thinking far ahead. So Good old Tyrion.
I think we're down, like, he's the only character so far who, I mean, he hasn't figured out that Littlefinger killed Jon Arryn. We don't learn that until a long time, but he does have a line where he's like, perhaps the direwolf and the lion were not the only beasts in the woods. And if that was true, someone was using him as a catspot. Tyrion Lannister hated being used. He's the only one who even suspects that maybe someone else is doing something. Which is great, which again just goes to that he's an intelligent guy. Julie Davies says that Tyrion is very smart, part of his appeal. I really enjoyed this chapter. I did too.
This was a good chapter.
This is a fun chapter. And before we hit into the next chapter, little reminder, we're on iTunes now. Audio format. Listen to us at the gym on your way to work. Not in the car, though. That's illegal in some states. You know, go subscribe. Leave us a 5-star review.
You can't listen to it on the headphones. I think you can listen to it on the...
Yes.
It's not illegal to listen to us in certain states in your car.
It's not at all.
You can listen to us on the stereo. Just don't put it in your headphones.
Don't put it in your headphones.
That's a dumb move anyways.
But. Unless you're sitting in your car and just stationary. I don't know why you would, but you can do that. Anyway, iTunes, Google Play. We'd appreciate it. All right, second chapter we read was Ned 10.
Ned X.
All right, some interesting stuff here. Why don't you kick us off? What happens in the first part?
I like this chapter because we kind of got another fever dream type thing, which was...
Have we had many? We had them before?
Well, the Catelyn chapter is kind of like a feverish dream.
You like that chapter.
I did like that chapter.
You've been chapter up a lot.
Now they both have had their own fever dream. But this was the scene from last season or whatever, the whole... the Tower of Joy?
I mean... They don't name it on the show, but it's the bit where in season 6, Bran goes back into one of his like past vision things, and he sees young Ned Stark fighting the Kingsguard dudes at the tower. It's called the Tower of Joy. It's in Dorne, but I don't think we actually get that information on the show. But this is basically it, and it shows up in the first book.
That's why, and then I was like, that's why everybody's got the whole theory thing was like, what is it, R plus L equals J or whatever like that was a thing the whole time. I was like, oh, okay, I get it now, because this happened in the first book, but they saved it for what, like the 7th season of the show?
6th season.
6th season of the show. So,
did you recognize that scene when you were reading it?
I started to. I was like, this is like awfully familiar, but then I remembered it was a thing for a while, and I was like, oh, that's why, because it happened in the first book. But I enjoyed it, and I also like the interactions, the reality reactions, I guess, outside of his dream between Ned, Cersei, and Robert, where Robert is basically doing his thing where he's like, I'm the king, but I don't actually want to be the king because things are going to crap, so I'm going to go hunt. And Cersei like calls him out on it, and she's like, I should be ruling, and it's all that kind of stuff. So
Cersei has a great bit here. I wrote it down. It's he isn't a good jab at her husband. What a jape the gods have made of us too. By all rights, you ought to be in skirts and me in mail. Then Robert hits her.
Yeah, that took a turn. But yeah, I like this chapter because of that whole interplay between those three, because you've got them on all of these different levels, and Ned somehow is still all the way behind in the game. It's just...
Well, how? Is he behind in the game?
Well, you've got Cersei and Robert, to me, are... Ned's playing catch up. Ned has this whole time been playing...
bedridden, and he's...
bedridden,
leg crushed.
Yeah, so
he's literally been in a coma for like 5 days, I think it said.
I think 5 or 6, something like that.
And in the meantime, Jaime's left the city, and Catelyn. Everybody knows that Catelyn took Tyrion now.
Yeah, and that was, to me, that was kind of like a little bit of symbolism, where it's like this whole time Ned has been there in King's Landing with these people, but he just doesn't know anything. And this was like literally he is asleep while all of these things are happening, and he's missing out on everything, which is kind of like, to me, pointing out the noir thing of like he's missing all of these clues and he's going in the wrong direction. And here he is, he's just literally out cold and everything's happening. And then Robert goes off to hunt, and
he does.
We all know what happens when Robert goes off to hunt.
Yes,
so.
That will be his death by Cersei. I think this is it's not the last time we see Robert, because we see him on his deathbed. Here's a question: did you feel for Robert here at all? You're right. He doesn't want to be king. Obviously. He goes off to hunt, even though he has this terrible situation. I mean, his brother-in-law is kidnapped. His other brother-in-law attacked his hand to the king in the streets, then fled. His wife is really angry. But we get this like melancholy bit from him, where he's kind of reflecting on what happened since he's been king. And he says, Rhaegar won, damn him. I killed him, Ned. I drove the spike right through the black armor into his black heart, and he died at my feet. They made up songs about it. Yet somehow he still won. He has Lyanna now, and I have her, referring to Cersei. Mm-hmm. He is weary.
Yeah.
Do you feel for him at all?
I find it hard to feel for Robert.
And then he hits for his wife when he leaves to go hunt.
That didn't help anything. I don't know. It's Robert. He's been really established as this character. He's kind of like a sleazy, slimebally, lazy character. Like he's made a point to point out very articulately how fat he is, and just like how literally how unfit to lead he is in all the ways. I didn't feel too bad for him here.
No, I agree with you.
I felt a little bit because I was like, oh, but also at the same time I was like, in the context of the character that he is, it's like, all right, you don't have enough redeeming qualities for me to think. So if this had been flipped around and it would have been Ned saying these things, Ned hasn't done anything that Robert's done. Ned is more of a sympathetic character, and we're sympathizing with how far behind he is in this little mystery, how he's going in the wrong direction, all these things that are happening to him, and then that's put up against Robert, who has also had some bad things happen to him, caught some tough breaks. But at the same time, he's a garbage character. He's a pretty bad guy.
He's a pretty bad guy, yes.
I guess, like, how tough of a break can it be if you're king? But, like, he's a king who doesn't want to be king. And it's like, he's cutting his own tough breaks. But he doesn't have enough redeeming qualities for me to sit there and be like,
he doesn't have sympathy. Robert's like the guy who peaked in high school and then never got over it, but somehow has a lot of power anyway.
Yeah.
That's not really maybe he, like, was an athlete in high school and did like a commercial, and he still gets all the money from it, but he just never moved on from that. And that's where he is, and he wishes he would like that again. And it's not, he's kind of avoiding his responsibilities. And while he's doing that, other people are creeping in. Cersei is pushing an agenda here.
Big time.
She wants, Robert to protect, to get to save Tyrion and be on Jaime's side.
Yeah.
And I do like that Tyrion had a comment back in his chapter that Cersei would see the insult in this, not the opportunity.
Yeah.
That if that the way to get out of this is to insist that Robert sit in trial of Tyrion himself. And then, when the facts come forward, he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So it would be resolved. Ned would look like an idiot. Catelyn would look like an idiot. And their power would be diminished. And the Lannisters would be vindicated. They'd be fine.
But the pride is too much.
Yeah. Instead, she needles him and gets in that crack about how he should be wearing skirts and her and men, which is great.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not great. And then he hits her, so
that was not great.
She's maybe not thinking with as a cool head as Tyrion would with the situation. Yeah. And Jaime's left, so we don't know what he's thinking.
This was too, that line, I did like that line from Cersei because it reminded me, because there are moments on the show where Cersei will do something and you're like, oh yeah, I really like that. Even though she is this terrible character, it's kind of like almost the flip of Robert, where she doesn't have a whole lot of redeeming qualities, but there are things that she does where you're like, oh yeah, I'm with her on that one. So like when she took that jab at Robert, I was like, yeah, get her.
I mean, because he's a scumbag kind of guy too.
Yeah.
Also, I think with Cersei, it's one of those things, I don't feel bad for her in the end because she has done so many terrible things, but she is if you're a woman in the society, she does have to fight and scrap for whatever power she gets.
Yeah.
Because it's assumed in the society that you can't really do much if you're a woman. Like we had in Tyrion's chapter, it's that Lysa is ruling the Vale, right? But it's her stupid idiot son, breastfeeding 8-year-old son who sits in the big throne.
Yep.
And she's out to the side because he's technically the ruler because he's the male heir.
Yeah.
Even though he's even more unfit than her. So there's that. So I don't know. There is a part of me that does cheer a little when Cersei gets what she wants.
Yeah.
She is technically an underdog. And also, I mean, this is getting ahead, but they do make. She also goes through crap. The whole naked walk is one of the iconic scenes from the show. One final question I have for you is. So Robert's bad, Cersei's bad. Is Ned bad? Because he's in bed, and Robert basically offers a way out. He says, make your peace with Jaime and order your wife to release Tyrion. And Ned comes back with, Jaime butchered, 3 of my men were butchered before my eyes because Jaime Lannister wished to chasten me and might have forget that. So he's refusing, basically.
Yeah.
Should he just do it? I mean, if he did... And I realize that we have hindsight. We can say Well, he doesn't do that, and then everything gets out of control, and there's war and everything. If he just apologized to Jaime and told Catelyn to let Tyrion go, maybe they could have avoided something.
They could have. And I do think that he bears some fault for this. It's kind of like this machismo where he's like, I can't apologize because it's I can't show my fault in this, and I have to defend the North. And
I mean, Jaime and his men did kill some of his guys.
They did. And that's the thing. It's like, at what point are you, and this is why Ned, this is a consistent problem with Ned in all these chapters. Looking far ahead, seeing it all the way through to conclusion. And this is another perfect example of Ned not looking further past and beyond the current situation that he's in to say, how is this going to play out? Where is this going to go? And if he would have done that, he could have maybe seen, oh, maybe if I apologize here, it's going to be maybe a bad look right now, but think of all of the things that it could bring about, all of the problems it could solve. Whereas, because he's Ned and he doesn't want to think forward or too far ahead, he dug in into the wrong thing, surprise, surprise, and now we have a gaggle of messes further on down the road. But it's, I feel bad for him because he can't look that far ahead, but also I don't feel bad for him because he's not the one, he's not thinking ahead. So
I mean, and also it's important that, I mean, in the moment, it can't seem like the right thing to do. I mean, he just got his leg crushed because Jaime Lannister attacked him. He's not going to be in the forgiving mood.
But if he is the hero that he's supposed to be, or that he's being made out to be, this kind of, the hero of our story, he should have that quality where he's like, I'm the smartest guy in the room. I'm smarter than Bob the king and Cersei, his wife, and I'm going to be able to think this one through and think far ahead. But again, he's kind of flawed in that way, and it's another indication that maybe he's not this hero character that he's being built up to be.
I can hear you. I mean, also, but heroes are tough guys. Heroes aren't going to apologize to the guy who kills your three, best buds and crushes your leg. They're going to bring him to justice. I think what I like about the series, and I think what's happening here, is that there really isn't one right answer.
Yeah.
I'm not sure anything could have gotten him out of it completely. And that I can understand their points of view. And if I can do that, then everything else is just follow through.
Yeah.
Any other closing thoughts about these two chapters, Josh?
No, we didn't talk about the Sky Cell. It
was fun, right?
That was cool. Cell. That was cool.
Talk about that for a second. So yeah, Tyrion's imprisoned in this Sky Cell, the Eyrie, which is just a room with 3 walls and one wall gone that just opens up into nothing.
Yeah.
Which is it's just a fun idea. It's fun.
Intimidating is what it is. It's like it's like a weird, peaceful intimidation. It's like it's nothing but sky, but also it's like this weird nothingness. It's just
like, is it one of the things, like, when you're reading, you get like a little maybe like nervous, like just because the way it's described? Like I don't have that a lot, but the best descriptions of, like, I don't know, a drowning or something violent can like make me go like, ooh.
A little bit of it. Yeah, I felt a little bit of it in my gut. I was like, oof.
Like, I like the sloping floor detail. It's that kind of detail that kind of sells it to me. And the idea is pretty out there. I mean, nothing in history that I know of has this kind of dungeon cell. But this is a fantasy book. We got some dragons. We got some zombies. Why not put in a fun sky cell?
Why not?
I think it's those details that really kind of sell Martin's world so well.
Oh, yeah.
Also, before we sign off, I just wrote this down, so I'm going to read it. I liked this bit about Mord, the illiterate jailer, just because it's this kind of like fine detail that just kind of makes the books believable. Some illiterates held writing in disdain. Others seem to have a superstitious reverence for the written word, as if it were some sort of magic. Fortunately, Mord is one of the latter. It's like a fun look into Mord's inner life. We're not going to get much of Mord's inner life. But here we
Mord.
This little
There's your spinoff. Mord.
Mord the jailer.
Sundays on HBO.
He was kicking Tyrion. He was speaking in like 3-word sentences that didn't have adverbs or vowels or anything.
It's like it reminded me of that character that from Hot Fuzz that actually
the Hound plays.
The Hound plays. Yarp.
Yarp.
Yeah.
I remember him. Yeah.
Yep. Yarp. That's what I was thinking of. But
Yarp. Perfect place to end on Yarp.
Yarp.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We are available on iTunes, Google Play. Subscribe, rate, and leave a kind word. I think next week we should read the next Catelyn chapter and the next Jon Snow chapter. I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah.
That's right. Thanks for coming, Josh.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. And we'll be back next week at 4 p.m. Central here on the Winter's Green Facebook page. Hope to see you then.
Yep, see ya.